All right, welcome back everybody to the Silver Satoshi YouTube channel. Not doing a giveaway today, but as I promised, I wanted to show you guys a little bit about the 3D printing process and how we are going to print. We started out trying to print some tokens or some coins, but it really wasn't working out. They're a lot harder to make cool stuff out of, to put in the pusher machine and keep them stacked up and what sort. And believe it or not, those poker chips are heavy. The stack that you guys see me push over weighs at least 50 pounds. You would not, they're made out of clay and some other material, and they are dense and they are heavy. I guess there's a reason for that, I don't know. But we decided to go with these ingots, downloaded them off Thingiverse, tipped the artist, of course. I remixed it. These were a little large. I kind of narrowed them and shortened them just a little bit and just took the overall size down to, I think it was 50%. We did a little test print. This is what we came out with. It's kind of a little block of a wall. I don't know if that's focusing very well. But anyway, that's what we're going to be using in the future as soon as we can get enough of them printed off. Unfortunately, this batch, according to my printer, this is going to take greater than 100 hours to finish, so we may be waiting a while. I may have to reduce the quality and maybe reduce the infill. For those of you who know a little about 3D printing, you know what I'm talking about. Infill is just basically the support structure inside. These are a lot lighter. Build some castles and some towers and all kinds. Anything you guys can come up with, we'll build it, we'll knock it down, and we'll talk about Bitcoin and Satoshis. I did make a mistake on one of my previous videos. I said this was the Ender 2 version 3. This is the Ender 3 version 2 Neo. I'm very pleased with it so far. Decided to make these ingots out of this metallic filament, and the reason being we had a lot of that left over from our first 3D printer that we got. We bought a bunch of it. We were newbies. We didn't know. We thought it looked cool. I'm going to print a bunch of stuff out of it. But unfortunately, this requires a temperature at the nozzle head of 220 degrees Celsius to print. And the little printer I had before was doing all it could to maintain that temperature. And we got some failed prints. We get some good ones every now and again, and you've seen a couple of them in the pusher already. But we're really pleased with this machine. It's very, very, very quiet. As a matter of fact, if you hear any background noise at all, it's coming from the miners. They're right to my left. But just wanted to give you a quick overview of what we plan on doing in the future. And let's go push down some tokens and talk about some Bitcoin. Hang on. All right. So we built a big old tower to knock down for you guys. And as you can see, as soon as we turned the machine on, it fell down. But we can still push the rest of them out of there and talk about some Bitcoin. So let me get some quarters going here. And I actually made me a script this time, so maybe I could stick to it and maybe not so many ahs and ums in there. So Bitcoin is what's known as decentralized finance. Now, what is decentralized finance? Well, centralized finance, which is what we use now, you've got one database somewhere that says, hey, all these people spent this money, this is what they spent it on, and we're going to keep it all right here, locked up, safe, and it's not immutable. Now, what is mutable? Immutable. Immutable is it cannot be corrupted. Well, centralized finance can be corrupted because it's controlled by very few. For example, some of the big banks, it only take 2 or 3 big wigs to cover up some large transactions. But with decentralized finance, which is what Bitcoin is, you don't have one centralized entity. You have nodes, or Bitcoin miners for slang, all over the world. And they all participate in transacting, verifying transactions that take place through Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. There are literally thousands, hundreds of thousands of them. They're all over the world, wherever the energy is the cheapest. And we'll get to that too. We'll talk about that a little bit. So it's all one ledger. if you go somewhere and transact in Bitcoin, then that transaction has to be verified by all of the nodes, or a very large percentage of them. And if it's not verified, then they won't let it go through. So there's nodes all over the world. There's no one yes or no. Nobody can turn it off. Nobody can corrupt it. It's immutable. It can't be corrupted. The blockchain has been in existence now since 2009, or a blockchain. There are several blockchains, but the one for the SHA-256 has been in place since 2009 and made trillions upon trillions upon trillions of transactions, and not a single one of them has proven to be false or corrupted. And it's just by the nature of design that it's not. It crunches these very hard equations that come from this algorithm that was designed by Satoshi Nakamoto. We'll talk more about that group of people or person later on. And it's designed to be incorruptible. It's designed to be an open source ledger that anybody can read at any time. You can see any transaction. As a matter of fact, Bitcoin's actually programmable. You can actually program the money to the purchase you made. And anybody can go on the open ledger and see that that particular Bitcoin is programmed to a certain purchase. Now, they can't see your name. They just see your public address. And with that, like I said, it's the SHA-256 the algorithm. And the way it works is you have to incentivize these miners to keep on verifying and protecting the open source ledger that's taking place. Well, Satoshi Nakamoto knew that he had to incentivize people. So blockchain is actually what we're talking about, not Bitcoin. The blockchain technology, SHA-256, essentially what it is an algorithm that creates hashes. And what a hash is just a key, if you will, to each transaction. Every transaction that takes place on SHA-256 gets a hash. That hash gets recorded in the ledger, becomes part of the blockchain, and nobody from here to Kingdom Come can change it. That's what gives it its value, is the blockchain behind the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just really just the monetary way of rewarding people who participate in verifying the transactions that take place on the blockchain. And Satoshi Nakamoto designed that into it. He said, hey, okay, we need all these people across the world. We need to decentralize finance. They're not going to do it for nothing because they got to pay an electric bill. So we need a way to reward these people. So he built into SHA-256. I say he. Nobody actually knows who or what Satoshi Nakamoto is. They think it's a group of people. But he built into the algorithm a way for money, or not money, digital currency to be created as it went along. And over the course of the many years it's been out now, I think 18 million Bitcoin have been generated. So the way that works is the SHA-256 algorithm will be ran by hundreds of thousands of nodes across the world, and they will log, verify, and report these transactions once they all agree on it. And then as they're doing that, the algorithm that's running generates a tiny bit of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is deflationary. There will only be 21 million of them ever made. And it's what I mean by deflationary is it's designed to become less available as the future goes on. So back in 2009, you could take a laptop, you could mine 40, 60 Bitcoin a day. Now, it takes entire warehouses full of specified machines to mine just one a week. So, and that will get progressively harder as the years goes on. We're not expected to reach that 21 million Bitcoin until the year 2140. So what happens is about every 4 years or so, the amount of Bitcoin that gets distributed for a certain amount of hashes or a certain amount of blocks gets cut in half. And not only that, but it becomes much harder to mine. It becomes much harder it becomes exponentially harder to transact. That's designed that way on purpose. It's to keep Bitcoin up in the front. It's to keep it from becoming inflated. It's to keep it not so much. It's still pretty volatile, but eventually it will settle down. And it's to keep it settled, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. It's very technical, very difficult to understand, but that in an essence is what gives it its value, is its immutability. It cannot be corrupted. People say, oh, I heard somebody gave Bitcoin to so-and-so on this special website and did a illegal transaction. Yes, that's happened, and people have been caught doing it, and well, wallets have been caught doing it. But the same thing has been happening with cash for hundreds of years. And a lot of people that I hear that are saying this, they act like cash, that's never happened before. You know, we've all heard the stories of certain corrupt, people or organizations that have just silos and silos of cash because they just can't launder it all. That doesn't happen with Bitcoin. Every transaction you make can be traced, maybe not to you, your person, but definitely to a wallet address. So, and brings us on to my next point, which is Bitcoin takes a lot of power. And there's a huge argument taking place right now. It takes a lot of electricity to run the nodes that are in place right now in the world. Yes, it does. You hear all the time, well, it takes more electricity to mine Bitcoin than this whole state uses in a day. Well, yeah, that's true, but so do vending machines. I mean, if you count up every vending machine in the world, they probably use more electricity than some states also. So it's relative, and it's really not a good argument, because there are a lot of things that use that much electricity every day. For example, our financial system as it is right now, there has to be a database that records all that information. There may be, I'm sure there's more than one. There's probably a couple. Each bank has its own. Your credit card machines have to have electricity running to them. What else? Let's see. I guess that's pretty much it. You can probably think of a few more things, but there's probably just as much electricity that goes into our current financial system as goes into Bitcoin. And, another big part of that is Bitcoin miners are trying to make a profit. They want to make money. So they're not going to go somewhere where the electric rate is extremely high or not renewable, because renewables are cheaper. So they look for the cheapest power, and they become very innovative. I just read recently about a group of people who figured out a way to recapture the gas. I think they call it flame out or flame off. If you've ever been around a coal plant or a gas-fired plant, electricity is created in the same way. You generate heat, which heats up water, which turns it into steam, which gets pressurized and forces a big generator to turn. A big turbine, and then that big turbine is connected to a generator, and it turns and spits out electricity on the other side. It's all created the same way. The only difference is, how do you make the heat? There's nuclear, there's gas-fired, coal-powered. Now, there's also hydroelectric, which is not the same. They use pressurized water, usually in a dam or something like that. Instead of steam, the pressurized water is what turns the turbine. But basically, it's all created the same way. But these coal-fired plants, these gas-fired plants, they have what's called burn-off, which is waste gas that they can't use in their process. And if you've ever driven by one, on the interstate or going somewhere, you've seen the big stacks, and you can see the flame coming out of the top of it. Well, these guys are trying to figure out how to mine Bitcoin at a cheaper rate, figure out a way how to capture that unburned gas and reuse it to create electricity to run their Bitcoin miners. So not only are they contributing to the blockchain, but they have figured out a way to take a dirty gas, burn it, make more electricity, and release a cleaner gas into the atmosphere. So there's where your innovation comes in. And you can see where I'm going with this. It's Bitcoin miners are not going to go out here and pay 15, 18, 20 cents a kilowatt to mine Bitcoin. It wouldn't be profitable. And let's face it, they're in it for the profit. I think maybe a few of them aren't. I'm not particularly in it for the profit. Maybe someday, but for right now, I'm just in it for adoption and awareness. And, I'm going to be honest. If it ever takes off and, 10x's from now, if I can find a way to spend my Bitcoin, and it will have to become less volatile. I'm not going to get rid of my Bitcoin if it's still volatile and the price is still climbing and falling, because really, what's the sense in it? Well, are you going to spend something that's worth $20,000 now when it has the potential to be worth 10 times that much in 10 years? You'd be better off holding on to your investments. But let's see what else I got on my list here. Like I said, I got a script. We talk about the recaptured gas. Talk about miners looking for cheap electricity. Oh, let's talk about how Bitcoin actually works. The best analogy I can give is, like I said, it's all one big ledger that all of these decentralized entities have to agree on. And before it becomes part of the blockchain, they all agree on it. If they don't agree on it, then it's not added. If somebody tries to corrupt it, they catch it, because it's all tied together. That's why they call it a blockchain. Every transaction from the first one to the last one is tied together through cryptography. So if you wanted to change one part of it, you have to change the whole darn thing. And that's what makes it immutable and incorruptible. But I guess the best analogy I could give is, imagine every person in the world who participates in an economy had their own personal accountant follow them around. And that accountant and that accountant only represented you. And they're the only ones that knew you. But every time you made a purchase, or anybody made a purchase for that matter, that accountant had to let every other accountant in the world, every other person's personalized accountant, know about that transaction. And every accountant in the world, even though they didn't represent you, had to agree that that transaction was valid before it could take place. That's how blockchain works. That's how Bitcoin is created. So it's decentralized. It's not, you're not relying on a bank to okay your transaction. You're relying on open transparency with decentralized personal accountants that all have to agree. It really is the first people's money. And I hear people all the time, but I'm not bad mouthing them. I mean, it's a fairly new technology. But I get into a lot of conversations and I hear people say, well, I'd rather have something in my hand. I'd rather have cash money or coin or something like that, or a debit card or a credit card. I just want to have it in my hand. I want to have control over it. Well, you do have control over it. It just takes a little bit of education. It takes a little bit of know-how. You do have control over your Bitcoin. And I think another mistake I made in one of my videos is, I was talking about cold wallets and hot wallets. Your Bitcoin always stays on the net. Your cold wallet just protects your keys, whereas a hot wallet, somebody could possibly hack into that wallet and get your private keys from you. But I hear that all the time. I'd rather have something in my hand. Well, they talk about being tangible. Well, the tangible value or the intangible value of Bitcoin is given to it by the people. The people believe in blockchain technology. Blockchain is in use right now. Basically, the way it works is every transaction that takes place, like I said, the miners will mine on it, they'll crunch some numbers, they'll validate it, they'll all agree, and then they assign that transaction a hash. It's called a hash, and it's just simply a unique key for that transaction, no matter what that transaction is, no matter how many transactions have taken place. That hash becomes part of a block. Once you reach a certain number of hashes, then that hash becomes a whole block. And then that block is released along with a little bit of Bitcoin, and the next block is started with hashes. That new block has to have a little bit of the old block in it. That's what creates the blockchain, or the uncorruptible, unhackable chain that is in existence right now. And that's what gives it its value, is its security. Imagine, and this is possible, this is doable right now. Imagine if your house or your personal assets were on a blockchain somewhere and they had a hash assigned to it. That's never going anywhere. People 200 years down the road could look back at that hash and see that you own that house. And that actual Bitcoin that you bought that house with was programmed to that house at one point. Now, it can be taken away from the house and spent on something else, and then it'll get another hash. But that's basically, in a nutshell, how it works. And that's why it gets harder as time goes on to mine, process, and validate transactions, because the blockchain continues to grow. It will never fork. It has forked off in the past, but those forks didn't do well. But the original SHA-256 Bitcoin algorithm has never forked off, and it won't. If it wants to stay relevant, it won't. That's probably enough information for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and push the rest of these out. I've kind of been denying you guys that here lately, getting all of these pushed out. So let's go ahead and just work on that. I'll shut up. You guys just watch and enjoy. I say I will, but if it gets jammed or something like that, you guys let me know in the comments. You want me to shut up and just push these things out, clear the machine out, or do you really not care? Just let me know. Like I said before, I am here for you. I would love for this channel to be what's the word I'm looking for? I'd love for this channel to grow, because I do want to see adoption and awareness take place. So I want to give you what you want. You're my customer. So drop me a comment. If there's parts of what I do that you like more than others, please let me know. I don't want to waste your time or mine. I enjoy doing this. Doesn't mean you do. But I want you to see what you want to see. All right, I'll shut up now. There we go. Good push. Gonna pause you for a minute. We got a jam. Alrighty, we're back. Drop some more in there. I may have already said this. A person who subscribed and commented sent me a personal message, said, you need to make sure everybody knows you're not a whiz at this stuff. So I am not a financial advisor. That goes without saying. I'll try to remember to say that when I make these videos. I do not have a degree in anything except for hard knocks. I am not an expert in anything other than loving my family. So do your own research, make your own decisions. This is solely for entertainment and to give away some Satoshis and watch some stuff get knocked down. We almost got her. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Don't forget to get that Bitcoin wallet. If you don't feel comfortable putting your public address in the comments, Let me double check, make sure I got my email right, and I'll set my email in the comments, and you can send it to me directly. Just make sure you get something in the comments so you will be eligible for the giveaway on May 15th when we give away those 32,000 Satoshis. I really appreciate every single one of you. I hope this is entertaining. Like I said, I am solely open to suggestions. I want to be here for you. I want to do what you want. I don't want to waste your time or mine. And I'm very thick-skinned. So say what you want to say. All right, let me get some quarters. All right, I think we got enough out there to finish it off. If we didn't, we'll pause it again. Let's see what we can get done here. And if you like the 3D printing aspect of it, let me know. We'll do some models and maybe we'll do some time lapse. I've seen a couple on YouTube look really cool. Just basically they just set the printer up to print a nice cool model. They set a camera up there, time lapse it. Some of them really got it going on, man. Somehow the printer's tied in with the camera, and it only takes a picture when the head of the printer's not in the way. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, check out Wild Rose Builds on YouTube, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I find it very cool. We almost got her this time. The first time I actually got you guys to the end of one of these things. That's all right. We get our own tokens made. Quite lighter, quite a little easier to handle. And we'll be able to push them out there a lot easier. We can have a lot more fun doing it. I'm down to just a few handfuls. Let's see if we can make this happen. Got to keep them over here on this left side. That's where everything's at. Come on, baby. Get close. Both on chips and quarters. All right, there we go. We got 2 more chips to go. Dollar chips. Come on now. Ooh, this is going to be a close one. I was really hoping I wouldn't have to pause it on you guys again. Come on, baby. Push, 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 push. A little bit at a time. Come on, baby. All right, I got like 10 left. Let's see if we can make this happen. They doubled up on me. Last 3. Oh, there's one on the machine. Gonna do it? No. All right, give me a minute. All right, I just grabbed a couple quick handfuls. Hopefully it's enough to get this done. Put them in there a couple at a time. Try to keep them over on the left. Sometimes it has a mind of its own though. Come on, baby. Oh, nice push. Come on now. Oh, come on now. Almost got him. There we go. All right, we did it. All right, well, thank y'all for joining in. Stay positive. Keep good energy around you. Love the ones close. As always, good vibes, peace, prayers coming at you, whatever you need. Thank y'all. Have a good day.